Seth Rollins has officially qualified for Money in the Bank. That's what the headline says. But anyone who watched Raw last night knows that's not the real story. That's not why the crowd lost its mind. That's not why CM Punk sprinted through the stands like a man possessed. And it's definitely not why the name Shield is being whispered across every corner of the wrestling world right now. Something much bigger is happening. This isn't just about a briefcase. This is about power, control, revenge, and one very real possibility that no one saw coming: the Shield, reborn. Let's rewind just for a second. Raw opened like a loaded gun. The camera cuts wide, and there he is, Seth Rollins, strutting to the ring, sunglasses on, that trademark manic energy firing through every gesture. But he's not alone. Two monsters flank him, Bron Breakker and Bronson. Behind them? The smirking shadowmaster himself, Paul Heyman. No music could have made this louder. No commentary could have made it clearer. The Shield vibes weren't subtle. WWE wanted us to see it. And they wanted us to feel it. 3 men. A single leader. All in black. Walking in formation like a war unit. For longtime fans, the visual alone hit like a freight train. You think WWE does things by accident? When Michael Cole casually dropped the phrase "reminds me of a certain former faction," and the crowd started chanting "Shield. Shield. Shield." It was as if a match had been lit in a room full of gasoline. The company doesn't need to say the word out loud. Just like they didn't need to say "pipe bomb" for a decade to make fans remember CM Punk's most iconic moment. It's all about the implication. Rollins knows what that visual triggers in people. The moment Heyman stepped into his corner, everything shifted. The message is clear: this isn't about nostalgia. This is a warning. You thought the Shield broke up? You were wrong. It's back. But not the way you remember. Seth Rollins didn't need to qualify for Money in the Bank to prove anything. He's been a Grand Slam champion. He's headlined WrestleMania. He cashed in during the main event of WrestleMania 31 and walked out world champion. He's already made history. So why is he chasing the briefcase now? Simple. Because this time it's not about the contract. It's about the symbolism. Rollins doesn't want a shot. He wants a chokehold on the entire company. The last time he held that briefcase, he shocked the world. This time? He's not going to shock anyone. He's warning you in advance: I will win. I will cash in. I will take what I want. And no one, not Roman Reigns, not CM Punk, not anyone, can stop me. That's not ambition. That's domination. And that's a major signal that Rollins is no longer just playing the game. He's trying to rig it. Here's where the tension spikes. As Rollins celebrates, Punk's music hits. No warning. No pre-roll. No scripted promo. Just raw energy, and a GTS that shut the entire arena down. In that single moment, Punk reminded the world who he is: the chaos agent. The outsider. The one who doesn't play nice with systems or stables. Especially ones led by Seth Rollins. But even in that defiant attack, even in that explosive statement, there's a problem. Punk is alone. And he knows it. He's not stupid. This isn't 2011. This isn't the pipe bomb era. This is an evolved WWE, where factions run the show and power comes in numbers. Heyman and Rollins just built a fortress, and Punk? He's walking toward it with a steel chair and a war cry. Let's stop and zoom out. What's really happening beneath all this? This isn't just about Punk versus Rollins. It's about Punk looking across the battlefield and realizing that if he wants to win, he can't fight solo. He needs numbers. He needs credibility. He needs someone just as powerful, just as feared, to stand beside him. And who checks all those boxes? Roman Reigns. The last true Shield general. The tribal chief. The one man who could shake Seth Rollins to his core just by showing up. And here's the kicker, Roman hasn't shown up yet. He's been off-screen. Quiet. Watching. And if you know anything about Roman, you know this, when Roman goes quiet, it's never because he's gone. It's because he's planning. Here's where it gets wild. There's a rumor floating. Not confirmed. Not official. But the whispers are loud. Punk and Roman, teaming up, not to recreate the past, but to rewrite it. And they're not doing it alone. A third man is coming. A new brother in arms. Could it be Zilla Fatu? Dean Ambrose, aka Jon Moxley? Sami Zayn? We're going to break it all down in this video. But first, we need to walk through everything that happened on Raw. Every confrontation, every promo, every tiny clue WWE dropped that tells us where this is going. Because make no mistake, Money in the Bank won't just decide who holds a briefcase. It will decide who owns the future of WWE. And by the end of this story, only one faction will stand tall. If you're a casual fan, you might think this is just another build-up to a pay-per-view. But if you've been watching wrestling for years, if you felt the power of the Shield's rise, the heartbreak of their implosion, and the tension between Rollins, Punk, and Roman, you know this is different. This is a turning point. WWE is seeding something massive, and it all started with three things: Seth Rollins walking with Heyman's new monsters, a Shield reference on commentary, CM Punk delivering a statement with zero backup. Put those together, and you don't get a regular rivalry. You get a faction war in the making. And by the end of this video, we're going to answer the question, what happens now that Seth Rollins has qualified? Because the briefcase might be his, but the fight is far from over. You didn't need a backstage segment. You didn't need an official announcement. You didn't need anyone to say the word Shield. You just needed to watch Seth Rollins walk down that ramp. Because the message wasn't hidden. It wasn't subtle. It was screaming through the screen. Black boots. Tactical style vests. Three men, side by side, walking like a unit. Centered, controlled, ruthless. And leading the charge? Seth freakin' Rollins. But this time, he wasn't burning it down. He was building something. Something cold. Something calculated. Something fans hadn't seen in years, but immediately recognized. And once you saw it, you couldn't unsee it. They're rebuilding the Shield. WWE has long mastered the art of the walk-in. Every entrance is a brand, every step down the ramp a declaration. But this one hit different. Rollins wasn't strutting with flamboyance or screaming with chaos. He moved with intent. Shoulders squared. Jaw clenched. Eyes forward. Like a man with a mission, and a pack behind him. To his left, Bron Breaker, explosive power, next-gen athleticism, a nuclear presence. To his right, Bronson Reed, an immovable wall of fury with Heyman's blessing. Behind them, orchestrating the aura, Paul Heyman, hands clasped, smirking like a man who knows the ending before the story even starts. Together, they looked like a faction. But more than that, they looked like a statement. The crowd caught on immediately. You could hear it ripple through the arena. The pop wasn't a cheer. It was recognition. Like watching something you remember from your childhood suddenly materialize in front of you. Michael Cole didn't scream. He didn't oversell. He didn't even finish the thought. All he said was, "This reminds me of, that was enough." Fans knew the reference. The Shield's debut in 2012 is tattooed into modern wrestling history. The tactical gear, the three-man formation, the silent threat. They changed everything. When they disbanded, it felt like the end of a chapter WWE could never write again. And yet, here we are. Only this time, it's not justice they're bringing. It's vengeance. It's conquest. The camera panned wide right as the trio reached ringside. All three stood shoulder to shoulder. Seth in the center. Breaker and Reed flanking like twin towers. Heyman just off frame. The placement wasn't accidental. It mirrored exactly the iconic shot of the Shield before their first official match at TLC 2012, Rollins in the middle, Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose on either side. Except now, the players are different. More dangerous. Less idealistic. And this time, they're not protecting the system. They're ready to own it. You might be wondering, why does a simple walk down the ramp have this kind of impact? Because in pro wrestling, symbols matter. The Shield wasn't just a faction. It was a symbol of unity, domination, and ruthless purpose. When WWE echoes those symbols, even subtly, they're saying something. Something intentional. And fans pick up on it faster than any promo ever could. When Rollins walks with two enforcers in black, you know what it means. When commentary almost says the name, you know they want you to ask questions. When Heyman is involved, you know it's not for nothing. This visual was WWE's way of raising the stakes without saying a word. Let's break this down tactically. Rollins has always worked best in groups, first with the Shield, then with the Authority, later with AOP, and now? He's forming his most dangerous alliance yet. Why now? Because Rollins doesn't just want the title, he wants to dismantle everyone who ever challenged his power. And with Roman Reigns temporarily off-screen, CM Punk off the leash, and the WWE locker room splintering into factions and chaos, this is his moment. This isn't a team for protection. This is a team built to attack. And just like the Shield once ambushed opponents in brutal 3-on-1s, Rollins is recreating that imbalance. Simple, this time, there's no idealism. There's no moral code. There's no justice. The original Shield saw themselves as the cure for WWE's corruption. This new version? They are the corruption. They're not defending the future, they're seizing it. Rollins is the visionary. Breaker is the weapon. Reed is the muscle. Heyman is the brain. Together, they're the most intellectually designed, physically dominant, and psychologically manipulative force WWE has seen in years. And this was all said in one shot, one ramp walk. No words needed. Social media exploded within minutes. That Shield energy is back and I'm here for it. Rollins walking like he's Roman now. Breaker and Reed ain't Reigns and Ambrose, but this trio looks scary. Did WWE just soft launch a new Shield without telling us? Reddit threads piled up. YouTube reactions dropped by the hour. Wrestling Twitter turned into a hive of speculation. But everyone agreed on one thing, WWE knew exactly what they were doing. WWE doesn't leak. WWE teases. They plant seeds. That's what this scene was, a carefully planted seed in the middle of chaos. One faction walking in power. Another, still in the shadows, ready to strike. Because while Rollins was parading his dominance, CM Punk was watching. And so was Roman Reigns. And that brings us to the next question, one that Seth should have asked himself before forming this trio. What happens when the old Shield returns, and it's coming for you? Paul Heyman doesn't waste words. He doesn't hype. He declares. So when he took the mic in the middle of the ring, surrounded by Seth Rollins, Bron Breakker, and Bronson Reed, he wasn't selling a vision. He was announcing a regime. This wasn't a promo. It was a mission statement. And if you listened carefully, every sentence was packed with intent, warning, and a not-so-subtle shot at Roman Reigns and CM Punk. The fans were already on edge after the Shield-style entrance. But when Heyman stepped forward, it was as if the entire crowd collectively held its breath. Because when Paul Heyman talks, it means something's happening. He doesn't just align with stars. He makes them. And now, he was standing beside Seth Rollins, who once stood against Roman Reigns. And he was introducing not one, but two hand-picked monsters to the WWE universe. It wasn't just an endorsement. It was an act of war. Let's break down the moment line by line. Let me introduce the future of WWE. This man will headline WrestleMania 45, 46, 47, 48, and beyond. Name drop, Bronson Reed. Not Braun Breaker. Not Seth Rollins. But Reed. Heyman didn't start by praising his biggest star. He started by crowning the monster, the man most people had counted out a year ago. This is classic Heyman psychology: lift the unexpected threat first. Build the aura. Make the audience question everything. He's the strongest WWE has ever seen. Is that hyperbole? Maybe. But when Heyman says it, it starts to feel real. And this isn't just a prediction, it's a spoiler. That line has power. It's been his line for years. It's the verbal stamp of legitimacy. When Heyman attaches spoiler to your name, it means he's putting his legacy on your back. He will dominate this company. That's not future tense. That's inevitable tense. And then came the sledgehammer. This is Bronson Reed, the man who did what Roman Reigns and CM Punk couldn't. Cue the gasps. The murmurs. The audible tension. He broke Seth freaking Rollins. That's the turning point. That's when the promo stopped being hype and became a declaration of hierarchy. Heyman positioned Reed above the two biggest names in modern WWE, Roman Reigns and CM Punk. Not because he won more matches or had more accolades, but because he did what they failed to do: he injured the indestructible. That's the narrative pivot. Reed is no longer a mid-card powerhouse. He's the one who changed the trajectory of the man leading this new faction. He's not Rollins' follower. He's his equal. His protector. His insurance policy. Let's be clear, this promo wasn't just about Reed. It was about control. Rollins has always thrived with chaos. But now, he's refined it. Systematized it. Turned it into a hierarchy. Heyman's role here is not just mouthpiece, it's legitimizer. He built the beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar. He engineered the longest-reigning Universal Champion in Roman Reigns. And now, he's anointing Seth Rollins as the future emperor of WWE. Ladies and gentlemen, meet your leader, Seth freaking Rollins, the visionary, the future of WWE. If anyone can lead this company forward, it's him. This wasn't flattery. This was coronation. And it was a knife straight into the heart of Reigns and Punk's legacies. Heyman's words were clear. But the subtext? Even clearer. He's moved on from Roman. No more tribal chief. No more island of relevancy. Now, it's Rollins' empire. That's not just a narrative shift. It's a betrayal. Because for years, Heyman was the consigliere of Roman Reigns. The trusted mouthpiece. The secret general. The only man Roman allowed to speak for him. And now? Heyman standing across the ring, declaring that Seth Rollins is the leader of the future. Roman Reigns didn't just lose Heyman. He lost his right-hand man to his greatest rival. The name CM Punk wasn't shouted. It didn't need to be. Heyman is a master at saying just enough. Reed did what Punk couldn't. Roman couldn't. But he did. Translation? CM Punk tried to take down Rollins and failed. But Reed succeeded. And that makes him, and by extension this faction, more dangerous than Punk ever was. This wasn't just disrespect. This was a power statement: you had your chance. We took it. And now, if Punk wants revenge, he's going to need a miracle. If there was ever a line that officially signaled the shift, it was this: so let me say it loud, acknowledge Seth freaking Rollins. That's it. That's the war declaration. It's not a catchphrase. It's a direct lift from Roman's own brand. His iconic demand to the WWE Universe: acknowledge me. Now Heyman is using it, for Rollins. It's symbolic. It's savage. And it tells you everything you need to know about where this story is going. Let's sum it up. Reed is now elevated to monster tier status. Breakker is positioned as Rollins' future-proof enforcer. Heyman has flipped allegiances. Rollins isn't chasing a title, he's laying the groundwork for an empire. This wasn't just a segment on Raw. It was a tectonic shift. And it's no coincidence that mere minutes later, CM Punk would arrive unannounced and drop Rollins with a GTS in front of the world. Because this promo didn't just declare dominance. It provoked retaliation. It started with singing. The crowd had barely settled from Heyman's verbal assault when Rollins grabbed the mic. His entrance theme had echoed through the arena just moments ago, fans chanting every word like a hymn. But the second he spoke, the arena turned. Boos. Jeers. A wave of rejection. It was instant. And Seth Rollins, once the fans' visionary hero, didn't just hear it, he snapped. Let's be clear, Seth Rollins didn't walk into that ring looking for approval. He walked in expecting loyalty. Entitlement radiated from him. When he heard the boos, his smirk twisted, not in amusement, but in contempt. And when he raised that mic, there was no filter, no fake charm. Just venom. Are you seriously booing me? 5 minutes ago, you were singing my name. He didn't let it go. He didn't brush it off. He took it personally. That's when you know the ego's gone too far. Hypocrites. You want to judge me? Who do you think really holds the power in WWE? The crowd fired back louder, but Rollins wasn't rattled. He was emboldened. This wasn't a man defending himself. This was a man daring you to deny him. Seth Rollins didn't just become a villain. He revealed the villain that had been hiding under the surface for years. The fans loved his chaos. They sang along when he called himself Freakin' Dot. They wore the drip. They echoed the laugh. But deep down, that was never for them. It was always for him. Rollins isn't the everyman hero. He's a power junkie, and now, he's done pretending otherwise. And then came the real reason he was out there. Not just to gloat. Not just to lash out. But to lay out his plan. If I want to take full control, I need that title. To get the title, I need to win Money in the Bank. And tonight, I qualify. Pause. Let that sink in. Rollins doesn't just want to win. He wants to cash in. He wants to do what he did at WrestleMania 31, but this time, with no surprise. No underdog story. No shock twist. This time, he's telling you up front, I'm cashing in. On who? That's a surprise. Once I have that briefcase, I'll become champion. And when I do, WWE is mine. This isn't strategy. This is dictatorship. Let's compare. In the past, Money in the Bank was about the moment. The right time, the perfect opportunity. Rollins is turning it into a campaign. He's weaponizing the briefcase as a chess piece. Not for shock value. Not for unpredictability. For dominance. And the terrifying part? He already has the faction to back it up. This isn't one man sneaking into a match. This is a faction creating chaos until the champion is too broken to fight back. Then Rollins swoops in, not as a scavenger, but as a conqueror. This line wasn't off the cuff. It was aimed like a bullet. Who do you think really holds the power in WWE? It's me. Not you. Not Roman. Not Punk. Me. Let's unpack that. Not Roman, a direct challenge to the tribal chief's legacy. Rollins isn't just stepping out of Roman's shadow, he's setting it on fire. Not Punk, a preemptive strike against the man who just made headlines by dropping him with a GTS. Me, the declaration of a new era. This was Seth Rollins marking his territory. Not by asking. Not by earning. But by claiming. And he's daring anyone to stop him. Rollins fed off the hate. Every boo? Fuel. Every CM Punk chant? Motivation. This wasn't a promo to win fans over. It was a manifesto for destruction. He didn't want their cheers. He wanted their fear. Even before Punk's entrance, his name was haunting the segment. Rollins never said it directly. He didn't need to. Every time he mentioned power, control, title, the implication was clear: he knows Punk is coming. He knows Punk wants revenge. And he's already preparing for it, not by running, but by escalating. Because if Punk wants a fight, Rollins is building an army. This wasn't just Seth Rollins qualifying for Money in the Bank. This was Seth Rollins reframing what Money in the Bank means. It's no longer a tool for opportunists. It's a declaration of war. A contract for control. A threat against champions and challengers alike. And with Breakker and Reed in his corner, with Heyman pulling strings behind the scenes, and with CM Punk lurking in the shadows, this isn't just a feud. It's a collision course. The match was never supposed to be the story. Penta vs. Dragon Lee vs. Chad Gable. A showcase triple threat. Fast-paced. High-flying. A crowd pleaser. A let's get the energy up kind of segment in between the chaos of Rollins, Heyman, and Punk. That was the expectation. But what actually happened? It flipped the script. Penta didn't just win. He announced himself. This was the first real Money in the Bank shockwave of the night, and it changed the whole shape of what's coming. Let's talk competitors. Chad Gable, wrestling technician. Consistent crowd favorite. Smart, sharp, and hungry after the Alpha Academy drama. Dragon Lee, lucha libre prodigy. Quick as lightning. Dangerous in every aerial exchange. Penta El Zero Mito, the wild card. The man with no fear. A crossover king with roots in AAA, Lucha Underground, and AEW. A presence that commands attention. This was a styles clash in the best way. Speed versus strength. Technique versus chaos. And the result? Absolute mayhem. But within that chaos, Penta thrived. From the jump, the match was built for excitement. Gable dominated the first 3 minutes with mat work and ankle locks, trying to ground Dragon Lee. Lee responded with lightning-fast rope rebounds, hurricane ranas, and a suicide dive that had the crowd chanting "This is awesome," less than halfway in. But it was Penta who slowed the pace, and then stole the moment. Every time the other two clashed, Penta let it happen. He waited. Watched. Then struck with surgical precision. He dropped Dragon Lee with a backstabber so brutal it sounded like a gunshot. He nailed Gable with a package piledriver off the second rope. And in the final 30 seconds, after Gable had Dragon Lee in an ankle lock again, Penta superkicked both of them out of nowhere. Then he climbed. And hit a Canadian destroyer that made the front row stand in unison. 3 seconds later, it was over. 1, 2, 3. Penta advances. WWE crowds are used to surprises. But this wasn't just surprise. This was recognition. They realized something the second Penta's hand was raised: he's not here for a one-off. He's here to climb the ladder. And not just the literal one. Penta walked up the ramp flashing his signature Zero Mito hand sign, and the crowd responded in unison. That's not easy to pull off in WWE. Especially as a new face to many casual fans. But Penta made himself undeniable in one night. Let's be clear, Chad Gable was the safe pick. He's over with the crowd. He's paid his dues. He's earned respect backstage and from fans. Dragon Lee was the exciting pick. Fast. Popular with the international fanbase. A perfect fit for high-risk MITB moments. But Penta? He was the bold pick. And WWE made that choice very intentionally. This isn't just about in-ring ability. This is about shaking up the Money in the Bank ladder match with a true wildcard. A man who doesn't follow scripts. A man who brings an edge from outside the WWE system. Historically, MITB winners fall into a few categories: the underdog surprise, e.g., Daniel Bryan; the opportunistic heel, e.g., Edge; Rollins; the dominant monster, e.g., Lesnar; the company-backed future star, e.g., Theory, Otis; but Penta? He doesn't fit any of those. He's something else entirely, the chaos catalyst. He's not here to cash in clean. He's not here to hold the briefcase and cut promos. He's here to break ladders, break expectations, and possibly even break the rules. Think about the potential matchups now: Penta vs. Logan Paul? A fan dream. Penta vs. Rusev? Collision of brutality. Penta vs. Cody? Storytelling fireworks. Penta vs. Rollins? We've already seen the tension. Adding him to MITB isn't just about filling a spot. It's about injecting volatility. He could steal the show. He could steal the briefcase. Or, if WWE wants to take a risk, he could steal the main event. Backstage, WWE cameras caught a quick reaction. Penta, still breathing heavy, simply held up the briefcase graphic on the monitor and said, "Zero miedo. Zero fear. Zero doubt. I climb. I take. I conquer." That's not a promo. That's a threat. And with what we saw in the match, it's one we can't ignore. It wasn't main event. It wasn't hyped for weeks. It didn't have a faction involved. But this match mattered because it reminded fans that MITB still has surprises. Real ones. WWE used this moment to launch Penta into the conversation, keep Gable strong through a protected loss, elevate Dragon Lee's credibility through pure performance, and most importantly, shift the tone because now the fans know. This year's MITB match isn't just stacked, it's dangerous. And Penta might be the biggest X factor of them all. There was no warning. No theme music, no vignette, no hype video. Just chaos. When Akira Tozawa stood in the ring waiting for his opponent, the crowd was half distracted. It looked like filler. A breather between major segments. Then the lights dimmed. A growl of a theme hit. And the crowd popped like they'd been waiting 10 years for this exact moment. Rusev is back. But not the fun-loving Rusev Day version. Not the comical brute from mixed tag arcs or wedding interruptions. This is 200% destruction mode Rusev, and he's not here to play. What happened next wasn't a match. It was a warning. The bell rang, and within 12 seconds, Rusev knocked Tozawa out cold with a spinning heel kick that nearly decapitated him. He didn't go for the pin. Instead, he dragged Tozawa up, threw him like a sandbag into the corner, and charged like a freight train with a running splash that crumpled Tozawa's entire spine. The crowd started chanting Rusev Day, out of nostalgia. He ignored it. Another power slam. Another knee to the gut. Then the matchka kick, flush, precise, brutal. 1, 2, 3. But it wasn't over. Referee tries to raise his arm. Rusev swats it away. He's not here for respect. He's here to send a message. He lifts Tozawa again, who's visibly dazed, possibly concussed, and hits a second matchka kick, this one even harder. Commentary is shouting. The ref is yelling for help. And that's when the save comes. A flash of red hair. Crowd explosion. Sheamus. No mic. No pause. He just charges. Clotheslines Rusev over the top rope. Rusev lands on his feet. Stares back. Doesn't retreat. The camera zooms in on his face, and you can read his lips. Next week. You. Sheamus nods. No match graphic. No segment promo. But everyone in that arena knows what just got set up: Sheamus versus Rusev. Next Raw. Collision imminent. Here's why this moment landed hard. He didn't return with a catchphrase. No laughs. No happy Rusev Day. Just violence. And not in a disrespectful way. Tozawa can work. He's trusted. But tonight, he was used to remind everyone what Rusev is capable of. This was less a match and more a live-action declaration of dominance. You want to establish a returning Rusev as credible again? You give him Sheamus. A brawler. A legacy guy. Someone fans respect and trust to go toe-to-toe with heavy hitters. And even better, someone with a style that matches Rusev's brutality. This isn't going to be a high-flying showcase. This will be a car crash in slow motion. They didn't cheer for nostalgia. They popped for destruction. There's a key difference. You bring back a legend, people chant their name. You bring back a monster, and people lose their minds when he lays someone out. This wasn't a hero's return. It was a threat's arrival. And WWE played it perfectly. Rusev isn't in the qualifier conversation yet. But you'd be foolish to think this ends with a one-off against Sheamus. This is a test. WWE wants to see if Rusev 2.0 resonates. If he beats Sheamus clean next week, and does it convincingly, you can absolutely expect him to be added to a Money in the Bank qualifier. And then things get interesting. Because a man like Rusev holding that briefcase? He's not waiting for the champ to be weak. He's kicking in the door. The beauty of Sheamus showing up with no words? It said everything. He didn't come to cut a promo. He didn't interrupt for screen time. He saw violence, and answered with violence. That's the Sheamus fans love. The one who shows up, throws fists, and dares you to swing back. Next week's match is going to be stiff, loud, and possibly unfinishable. And we'll all be better for it. If Rusev wins clean, expect him to get added to a MITB qualifier. If Sheamus wins via DQ or roll-up, the feud continues, but Rusev still rises. If either man gets injured in this match, it will be real. Because these two don't pull punches. This is the Rusev we needed. Sheamus versus Rusev? Take my money now. I don't care about the briefcase. Let these two just destroy each other for a month straight. No jokes. No Lana. No gimmicks. Just fists. Perfection. WWE fans know real when they see it. And tonight, they saw real. Some of the most powerful stories in wrestling aren't told in the ring. They're told backstage, in silence, glances, pauses, and hesitation. That's where we find Sami Zayn. No spotlight. No promo. Just a camera slowly zooming in on him backstage, alone, sitting on a crate, head down, hands clasped like he's trying to hold his thoughts together. He's not injured. He's not angry. He's conflicted. And in that quiet moment, WWE told one of the night's most human stories. Sami isn't just dealing with a feud or a title chase. He's stuck between tectonic plates shifting underneath him. On one side, Paul Heyman, offering legacy, control, and stability under the banner of Rollins' new faction. On the other, Seth Rollins himself, arrogant, unstable, but undeniably in power. And hanging just beyond the spotlight, CM Punk and Roman Reigns, threatening to flip the entire structure upside down. Sami Zayn is standing in the middle of a fault line. And it's starting to crack. This isn't just about loyalty. It's about who Sami is at his core. He's been manipulated before, by the bloodline, by KO, by the system. He's been the underdog, the spy, the fool, the martyr, and the rebel. And now? He's finally respected. But that respect is being used against him. Heyman wants him to align. Seth wants him to follow. And deep down, Sami is asking the real question, do I keep surviving? Or do I finally start deciding? That's where the real war is. Not between Rollins and Punk. But inside Sami Zayn. The camera catches him pacing slightly. Not frantic. Just unsettled. His phone buzzes. He checks it. No reaction. Puts it away. In walks Paul Heyman, no entourage. Just that trademark smirk and calm confidence. You've got a decision to make, Sammy. No sales pitch. No manipulation. Just a sentence and a stare. Then Heyman walks off. That's it. But it lands like a gut punch. Just when the tension hangs too heavy, JUSO steps into the frame. Laid back. Hoodie up. Calm as a bomb. He leans next to Sammy. Doesn't lecture. Doesn't ask what's wrong. He already knows. Why even say anything, Yus? Don't waste your energy. It's not dismissive. It's real. Then he adds, focus on your money in the bank qualifier. And if you need backup, I've got your back. That line changes everything. Because in that moment, Jay isn't just being a friend. He's offering something none of the others are, support with no strings attached. The bond between Jay and Sammy is complex. Built during the Bloodline saga. Tested through betrayal, redemption, and war. But what remains is trust. Jay doesn't need Sammy to pick a side. He just wants him to stand up for himself. And that subtle brotherhood? It's more powerful than anything Heyman has to offer. Because it's not transactional. It's earned. Every major storyline needs emotional grounding. This is it. Sammy isn't vying for power. He's not throwing punches. He's not delivering monologues. He's struggling, the most relatable thing a human can do. And in a world filled with monsters, megastars, and manipulators, sometimes all you need is one person to say, you don't have to do this alone. That's what Jay gave him. And in a show filled with betrayal and noise, that quiet loyalty stood out louder than anything else. Sammy's qualifier, you know it's coming. And now we're watching not just to see if he wins, but to see who shows up. Future tag pairing with Jay? Don't be shocked if Sammy and Jay reunite for a tag match soon. Could be on the road to MITB or even at the event itself. Heyman's manipulation intensifies. This was just the first move. Expect Heyman to push harder, and possibly expose Sammy's doubts to the world. A CM Punk connection? Don't rule this out. Punk thrives on outcasts. If he's building a faction to rival Rollins, Sammy might be high on his list. Sammy needs to be protected at all costs. JUSO is turning into the locker room's moral compass. That one line from Jay hit harder than half the show. Heyman saying you've got a decision to make feels like the start of something big. Social media picked up on it instantly. Not every segment needs explosions. Sometimes, you just need a man torn between two futures, and a friend who quietly believes in him. You can't talk about the WWE Tag Division without talking about the New Day. They've been champions. They've been underdogs. They've been comic relief and wrestling royalty, all at once. But tonight? They were something else entirely, survivors. In a match that easily could have turned into a chaotic placeholder on a stacked card, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods reminded the world why they're one of the greatest tag teams of all time. Because they didn't just win, they earned it. 3 teams. 1 fall. No tags between teams. Every man is legal. Every second matters. And when the stakes are the undisputed WWE Tag Team titles, the chaos doesn't build, it explodes. Participants, the New Day, champions, Kofi and Woods, fast, crafty, and experienced. The Brawling Brutes Ridge Holland and Butch, aggressive brawlers with a point to prove. Imperium Giovanni Vinci and Ludwig Kaiser, efficient, precise, and deadly under pressure. This wasn't just a defense. It was a fight for relevance in a division that's becoming more competitive by the week. The match didn't wait to warm up. Within the first minute, Woods ate a release German suplex from Kaiser. Butch dove through the ropes into Vinci and Ridge Holland in a rolling brawl on the outside. Kofi leapt off the top turnbuckle, taking out all 5 men with a trust fall dive to the floor. From there, the pace never slowed. Woods hit a leg drop from the top rope onto Kaiser, only for Butch to yank him out of the ring and throw him face first into the steel steps. Holland and Vinci briefly formed an uneasy alliance to double powerbomb Kofi, but it broke down fast as they turned on each other. The match told the story of constant shifting loyalties and opportunism. But through it all, New Day stayed one step ahead. The final sequence was brilliant. Kaiser hit a running European uppercut on Ridge Holland. Vinci tagged in, went for a springboard moonsault. Kofi dodged and caught him with trouble in paradise midair. But it wasn't over. Butch tried to break the pin, but Woods intercepted him with a leaping tornado DDT onto a steel chair outside the ring. Kofi rolled up Vinci with the tightest cradle he could muster, and got the 3 count. No finisher. No knockout. Just pure ring IQ. The New Day survive, again. This wasn't about dominance. This was about adaptability. The New Day don't need to outmuscle their opponents. They don't need to rely on cheap tactics. They win because they've seen it all, and know when to strike. It's what makes them so dangerous. It's what makes them still relevant, even after nearly a decade of tag team success. No pancakes. No unicorn horns. Just Kofi and Woods, breathless, holding the belts tight, nodding to the camera with grim satisfaction. Woods grabbed a mic briefly and said, "That's what champions do. We fight. We fall. We keep going. Short. Real. Effective." A legitimate defense. This wasn't a lucky fluke. It was a skilled win against 2 credible teams. Imperium's growing frustration. Kaiser and Vinci were visibly upset post-match. Don't be shocked if Gunther steps in to correct their failures. The brawling brutes need direction. Ridge and Butch looked strong, but disorganized. This loss could signal either a recommitment to their bond, or a split. The New Day vs. future challengers. With teams like DIY, Judgment Day, and even Alpha Academy waiting, the New Day now sit atop the mountain, and the target on their backs just got bigger. WWE knows it can't push the tag division as filler anymore. Fans want real stories. High stakes. Legit competition. This match gave them exactly that. And the New Day, often overlooked in modern booking, just proved they can still deliver on the highest level. Woods and Kofi are still one of the best tag teams on earth. Triple threat tag matches are usually chaos, but this one had real flow. Imperium looked dangerous, but New Day outsmarted everyone. We need Gunther to address Vinci and Kaiser next week. He won't be happy. Social media saw the nuance. They didn't just cheer the finish. They respected the craft. And that's what this match was, a masterclass in tag team strategy, survival, and precision. There's a specific kind of silence in a WWE arena. Not the kind that means fans are bored. The kind that means they're listening. That's what happened the moment Gunther stepped into frame. He didn't need pyro. He didn't need a chant. He just walked out, stone-faced, title over his shoulder, like a man who already knows how this story ends. And in front of him? JUSO. The fan favorite. The unlikely champion. The man who scratched and clawed his way out of the shadow of Roman Reigns, only to step into the crosshairs of the most dominant intercontinental champion of the modern era. Jay was mid-promo. Talking about money in the bank. Talking about proving himself again. Then Gunther's music hit, and everything changed. The ring felt colder. More serious. Gunther didn't wait for permission. He walked straight up to Jay, took a breath, and cut with surgical honesty, "Congrats, Jay. You beat Logan Paul." The crowd gave a mixed pop, sarcastic claps, slight cheers. Gunther paused. Calculated. "I didn't think you'd still be champion. But here you are. He wasn't mocking. He was observing. Then he leaned in. You've got some great traits, you fight for your friends. That makes you a good man. Beat. But not a good champion. This wasn't a promo battle. This was character assassination. Gunther didn't yell. He didn't need to. Because what he said was true enough to hurt. Jay's title reign has been built on momentum and moments, but Gunther is a different standard. He's not about crowd pops or backstage drama. He's about credibility. And when he looked Jay in the eye and said, "In fact, you became champion by accident," the crowd groaned like they saw someone get slapped without a sound. It wasn't a burn. It was a reality check. Gunther doesn't cut promos like other superstars. He doesn't entertain. He corrects. And that's exactly what he came out to do, publicly dismantle Jay's legitimacy, not through insults, but through truth. He laid out the subtext that's been swirling online and in fan circles. Jay's rise happened because Roman left. He beat Logan Paul, a part-timer. His title reign feels like a nice surprise, not a dominant legacy. And Gunther? He's here to fix it. Jay didn't let it slide. He didn't flinch. He stared Gunther down and fired back with purpose. Done talking? I've had enough of people calling me an accident. Saying I'm not championship material? You think I can't beat you again? Watch me. Then he sealed it. I'm winning Money in the Bank, and making you tap out again next week. Boom. Crowd exploded. Because here's the truth, Jay knows exactly what people say behind his back. He's heard the accident comments. He's seen the tweets, the YouTube thumbnails, the doubters. And instead of breaking? He's building pressure. No qualifiers. No build-up needed. The challenge was accepted. The segment ended not with a brawl, but with a standoff. Jay holding his title tight. Gunther staring straight through him. 2 men. 1 ring. 0 fear. And the crowd? Absolutely locked in. This isn't just about who walks away with the belt. This is about philosophy. Jay represents emotion. Heart. Loyalty. Gunther represents discipline. Control. Brutality. It's Rocky versus Drago in wrestling boots. A fan-favorite dreamer versus a cold, calculating executioner. And WWE is smart to position it like that, because it means something no matter who wins. For Jey Uso win, and he solidifies his reign as real. Lose, and he confirms every doubt that's ever been whispered about him. For Gunther win, and he becomes the top threat heading into Money in the Bank, possibly even as a dual title holder. Lose, and his aura takes its first real hit. For WWE storytelling, this match will shape the landscape going into MITB weekend. Who's legit? Who's the face of the division? Who's rising, and who's cracking under pressure? Gunther always makes everything feel like it matters. Jay didn't back down. This is going to be a war. That "you became champion by accident" line was ice cold. Give them 20 minutes next week and watch magic happen. Fans are invested. Not just in the outcome, but in what it represents.